Bobby Lashley.
What up?
What's going on?
Not much, man.
And last time we spoke, it was your life was very, very different.
Yes,
Very different. Everything. Last time we spoke, everything professionally that you have going on now was all a hypothetical. Hello, Joe.
Yes.
It was all hypothetical, and now it's all happening.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you feel like when we spoke? Because when did we spoke for my wrestling podcast in probably the beginning of the year-ish, maybe.
I believe so.
End of last year-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right around that. Spread around that.
Somewhere
time.
around there, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about the idea of you coming back to WWE.
Yeah.
And really, we kind of spent a lot of time talking about your WWE career, and it seemed like when we were talking that it was something that was on your mind, and I feel like everybody that listened to that was like, yeah, I mean, it sold people who weren't already sold on it, on this idea of it being a thing. In your head, did you have any inclination that this was a realistic possibility within like a few months this is in the works?
I didn't know. I didn't know at that time. But what I did know, when I left, there was always that time where I was like, I know I'm going to be back. I know I'm going to be back. But then after the first year, and then the second year, and then the third year, and then the fourth year, I started saying, I know I'm going to be back maybe before I turn 100. But I knew that there was some possibility that I was going to be back.
Right.
At that time, I had no knowledge that it was going to be this year.
Right, because you could, in that moment, you're going, it could be this year,
yeah,
but it could be another 10 years from now.
Right.
I don't exactly know where this thing is going right now.
Yeah, because there was some stuff going on with Impact at the time, so I didn't know if I was just going to be fighting full time. I didn't know what I was going to be doing.
Right. So Bobby stepped away from WWE, for those that don't know, for how many? 8?
10.
10 years. 10. It was a full decade.
10 years.
You stepped away. You came in like a fireball.
Yes.
You showed up on the scene,
yes.
Big, jack dude, kicking everybody's ass.
Yes.
And then you kind of went away, which surprised a lot of people after, what, 3 or 4 years?
It was on TV, it was about 2.5, 3 years.
3 years.
But a huge impact in that small time.
Well, yeah. I mean, you came in like this is going to be the next big guy.
Yeah. And
then you were gone. And then you spent the next 10 years like you were wrestling in Impact. You started fighting MMA, and you were super successful. I don't think because Bellator does not get the kind of publicity that UFC gets. I don't think people realize how successful you were in the MMA world.
Yeah. You know what? It's one of those things. I was in Strikeforce and then Bellator. UFC ended up buying out Strikeforce. So a lot of guys that were in Strikeforce went over to UFC. And then afterwards, when I was in Strikeforce, I did okay. But I was thrusted onto the main stage really early. And for me, what I was trying to say is I want to be a student of the game. I just don't want to be somebody that's going to collect a big paycheck based on my name. So I kind of took a step back there, and I don't want to say indie promotions, but I did some of the smaller fights. I did about 3 or 4 smaller fights and smaller promotions, and then got picked back up with Bellator. So when I was at Bellator has some of the top fighters in the world right now. And there's some huge competition. And my little run in MMA, I told myself, I'll try one fight. And then 17 fights into it, I was like, man, I've trained with a lot of these guys, and I think I can win titles in MMA if that's where I chose to dedicate 100% of my time.
So when you first get there and you get thrust onto the main scene and you're losing.
Oh, losing.
Well, not doing as well. You said you were thrust onto the main scene when you first started MMA.
I was winning, but it was
not in the way you wanted to.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where if you've never been in a fight, right. The first thing, and I always told people, there's different steps to it. The first step is signing a contract. Now we sign a contract, it's like, okay, I'm fighting X dude. So as much as you don't want to, you start kind of subtly stalking that guy a little bit, going to his Instagram, saying, "Oh man, he's in boxing practice. Oh, he's in jiu-jitsu." So you're kind of looking at that. So it's kind of like a little mental game that you're playing at the beginning. But then there's the steps all the way leading up until when you go to the day of the show, where you're in the locker room, where after weigh-ins and all these different things, and then you go into the cage and then close that cage door behind you. There's a lot of different steps involved.
Right.
And I know that once I got into the cage, yes, was I prepared to fight? Yeah, absolutely. I can fight anybody in practice, because practice there's no stress, there's nothing. You just go out and have fun. But then when you get into the cage, there's a lot of eyes on you. It's like, don't mess up. You got 4-ounce gloves on, 7-ounce gloves on. Somebody touches you in the chin, you can go down. Okay, so at that point, it was just grab them and kill him, murder him. So it was like a sense of urgency, with every fight that I had at the beginning, and I wasn't comfortable. You know,
So it wasn't about technique as much as it was survival.
I wasn't comfortable.
Right.
The most dangerous fighters are the comfortable fighters. So I was like, let's take a step back so I can get comfortable in the cage.
I see.
Yeah.
So at any point did you worry like, oh, maybe I'm just never going to get comfortable in this cage? Or did you know, look, this is like anything else you're starting. This is going to come with experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew it was that because when I was in the practice room, I trained with everybody in the practice room.
Mm-hmm.
I've trained with Cormier. I've trained with Kane. I trained with some of the best fighters at American Top Team. I went down to AKA. I went to Josh Barnett. I trained with him religiously. A lot of these guys I've trained with, so I knew what my level was, and my level was up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as going in the cage, it's like I have a lot to lose. Coming from a wrestling background, they want to see a wrestler get touched on the chin
right.
and fall down. So there's a lot of people that want to see me win, but there's a lot of people that want to see me lose at the same time.
Right.
And that's why I had to go out there and I had to say, all right, how do we get comfortable so that I can be walking on the mat and I can feel the mat and I can just breathe and move around? Because when I do that, I'm dangerous.
Well, plus it's like your first fight, you're not supposed to have that kind of spotlight on you, right? You come in with that kind of name value, name notoriety. Everybody's looking at you. You have this layer of pressure that first-time fighters don't have.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, you've trained with all these guys. What do you think of the next fight that Brock Lesnar theoretically has lined up? I mean, he showed up in the UFC again.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think? You know, you look at this.
It's an interesting fight.
Right.
It's a very interesting fight.
Because you look at the size difference, and clearly you side towards Brock, but you look at the skill difference. There's a pretty, it's there, right?
Yeah. I trained with Cormier,
right,
at the Olympic Training Center,
right.
I trained with him at AKA.
Mm-hmm.
Cormier, the one thing about Cormier is Cormier doesn't think that he's 5'8", 5'9". Cormier thinks he's 7 foot tall, 700 pounds. That's his mind frame. So he's not going to go in there looking at Brock saying, "Oh, this guy's big."
Right.
He's going to be going in there saying, "I'm 100 times better than this guy."
And he's comfortable. Thinking that he's 7 feet tall.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
And that's a really good thing because that's a lot of mental training when it goes back to being comfortable in there. He's not going to go in there and back down to Brock. He's going to go in there. He's going to bring the fight straight to him because he's done it many of times before.
Right. So what's the road? So do you think, who do you think has the better chance at winning that fight? I mean, you probably know Cormier in terms of being a fighter better than you do Brock because you trained with him.
I think they both have an equal opportunity. I think it all depends on game plan.
Right.
Because can they both win? Absolutely.
Right.
Can Cormier beat Brock? I think so. He's beat some really big people. Can Brock beat Cormier? Absolutely. I think whoever has the best game plan going into that match is going to win that match.
Mm-hmm.
I think if when I look at Brock, man, Brock is intimidating. But like I said, Cormier is not going to be intimidated by him. But you're always going to be intimidated when you actually feel what you think or what you see. So when he actually feels Brock and Brock grabs hold of him, then there's going to be that, holy cow, you know?
Right.
So there's the intimidation.
Right.
But if Brock doesn't rush that and Brock takes his time to say, all right, I'm going to let you feel it, take it away, I'm going to let you feel it again, so now I can start bullying you, then I think that's one way that Brock gets him.
Right. He's got, Brock, one of Brock's best weapons is that sort of like, oh my God, he's that strong. Oh my God. Like that first moment of impact.
Absolutely.
Is
and,
where
and when people do that, it's surreal. And then after the match, they're running their mouth all the time beforehand. And then after the match, they're sitting on the side bleeding with their eyes wide saying, what just happened? but at the same time, is Cormier is coming out in that match, and Cormier is thinking, I'm a giant. I'm a giant. I'm a giant. I'm not going to run from this guy. So I mean, it's gonna be a cool match. I think it's a big money match that everybody's been wanting.
Yeah, I think so too. What was the road like for you to get back to WWE? Do you get a phone call one day and go, Bobby, we want you to just pop up the Monday after WrestleMania?
I was begging, pleading, and then I got to the point where I was threatening guys on the roster and saying, if they don't let me in, I'm going to burn down the building. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm not going to say that, hey, I just made a phone call. They're like, oh, yeah, Bobby Lashley, come on in. No, that wasn't it at all. It wasn't. It wasn't. I was showing, I was like, man, I'm proving myself. Like, watch some of the stuff that I was doing on Impact. I mean, I wasn't a slouch. I'm wrestling with some of the guys that on paper is like, they're not going to have that good of a match. But then people were like, man, they had good match.
Yeah, I mean, I think universally people were like, that's the best stuff he's ever done.
Yeah, man, I was working some great people again in my career. Bobby Roode was incredible. I had matches with Drew, Austin Aries, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy. Some of these people, I mean, Eli Drake. Some of these guys, Moose, those guys are great wrestlers. So when I had an opportunity to get in the ring with those guys, man, it was just like, yeah, this is magic. Now we're starting to work Eric Young. I mean, I try not to leave out anyone. There were so many good people over there. So when you saw what I was doing in the ring, you're like, all right, he has it. And then as far as like the heel character was natural for me.
Right.
I didn't mind jumping on the microphone. I couldn't wait to jump on the microphone because there was a little bit of realism with some of the things that I was saying.
Right.
I mean, so I had a good time with that also. And then just getting in the cage and fighting. You know, I wasn't fighting just because I had something to prove to anybody. That's not what it was. I didn't have to prove anything to myself. I didn't have to prove anything to anybody else. Yes, the money was good, but I was fighting for pro wrestling. And I was fighting because I was like, man, I'm going to bring another element into my game to show him. Because a lot of times people are like, man, Bobby's a nice guy. I wonder what he can do.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know. So you're calling people, you're telling your friends that are on the roster, are you calling the office and being like, look, I'm ready. Give me a shot. Give me a shot. Give me a shot.
Yeah. I was kind of subtle with it. If you guys had any interest in, but no, we don't have any. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. 3 months later, I'm still here and I'm still healthy, and I can send you a picture of me. I know I'm a little bit older, but I swear I still look good. All right, I call back.
I love the honesty in that. Like most guys will say, like, we came to terms on something that we both liked. It's like, no, I mean, obviously you came to terms on something, but it was based on a lot of trying.
Man, come on, it's the WWE.
Right.
It's not like they just say, well, there's certain people that can call up, the Rocks and Jericho. There's some people that can just call up and say, hey, I want to come on. They're like, yeah, we'll write you right in. Mm-hmm. But, I didn't have all of that. And this is another time for me to go through the different layers of what I'm going through right now with singing and beating on my sisters and stuff like that on TV to developing the new Bobby Lashley for everybody. And then hopefully I get to that point where there could be that time where I'm a huge commodity to them, so where I just make a phone call and I could just do whatever I wanted.
So you're comfortable building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And I'm only asking because you brought up singing just now. So, and by the way, literally right before you walked in, all these guys in here were just talking about every time I've messed up on live TV and live radio and how much they enjoy it. So tell me what happens here. Your publicist over there was just thumbs up. Yeah, I love it when Sam screws up. So you're doing this segment on Monday Night Raw. It's live television. And this is, millions of people watching. Tens of thousands of people in the arena. It's a singing segment. There's a character named Elias. He's playing a guitar. And he's playing the song Rockin' Robin. Bobby jumps in. It's been, and I'm happy for you, it has been edited on YouTube, so you don't even need to look it up. But Bobby comes in, and he does the hook to Rockin' Robin.
Really, Rockin' Robin.
Troy, you know the song, right?
Yeah. Blue, yeah. Rockin' Robin.
So you do know the lyrics.
I do know the lyrics.
Because unfortunately, on the show, it seemed like you spaced on him. Is that what happened?
Man, why can't we talk about beating people up? I swear I could beat people up.
No, you're really good at it. I mean, you're as big as a house. All right.
Yeah, no. I didn't necessarily mess it up. Of course, there was. Okay, I messed it up.
You did a little bit.
I froze. Man, I'm not a singer.
Right.
I'm not a singer. I think what it started out with was I started on the house shows doing something with Elias, and it turned into a song breaking out, and then I took over the song.
Okay. And
I'm not a singer, but I did well. And the crowd heard it, and the crowd was like, holy cow, Bobby can sing. so of course, on Monday, Bobby's singing. And I was like, whoa,
do this on TV.
Wait a second. Wait a second. And yeah, the Blow Rockin' Robin, I messed up.
Yeah, you went.
I want a second chance.
You went. Yeah, because then it went into mumbles. It was like,
yes.
I mean, and it's tough when you're on live TV and you're like, I got to fill this verse with something. Yeah. I went Rockin' Robin, tweet, Rockin' Robin, tweet.
Blow Rockin' Robin because we're really gonna rock tonight.
But that part, blow Rockin' Robin because we're really gonna rock tonight, sounded like this. It sounded like this.
It was either that or crying. I think I should have just cried.
And what do you do? Because you have to go on with the segment, of course.
Yes.
Luckily for you, it gets into physicality because that's where you're gonna. When it gets into physicality, you're gonna shine regardless.
Yes.
But you get hit with the guitar. The whole thing happens. When you go backstage, do you beat yourself up? Do you look at anybody? Does anybody point out to you that, like, Bobby, it's a very famous song?
No.
No.
I beat myself up.
Right.
I beat myself up no matter what.
Right.
Even if I don't know. You know how it is when you're performing. You're gonna beat yourself up no matter what.
Oh, I know.
Everybody else can say, "Oh man, that was great," and you're like, "I'm gonna go and smash my head against the wall right now because I just threw away my career."
Because your vision of great is this thing that, like, you weren't even close to. I mean, I'm there, like, it's not even attainable. Like,
it's always going to be like that. And when I went back, it was like, and they're like, no, it's all right. And I was like, I didn't hit the last line the way it's supposed to hit. No, but it was great. You beat him up and yeah. So that was just one of those things where.
And if we could put that message out there, the takeaway message is Bobby Lashley is not a singer.
Yes.
Okay.
But I can beat people up.
That's right. He's got a different skill set. He's very good at that skill set. So let's concentrate on that.
Yes.
We talked, and I think I'm glad we had a conversation because, and I'm sure literally every interview on your media tour, you're getting asked about your WrestleMania main event, which featured your corner man.
Yes.
Now the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. And I think it's interesting that we had that conversation before you were in WWE. Yeah. So and the conversation that we had and we did on the podcast, and you said, you enjoyed working with him. He was a cool dude, and that was kind of that. And I think it's good that that's on the record then,
right?
Because it's not like now you're just trying to pacify or give the line.
Yeah.
Because this was the same line you were given before you were here, right?
Yeah. Man, here's the thing about me is I don't want to say the most ridiculously positive person, but if you would read and look at any of my social media, you're never, ever going to see me trash talking someone. Never. It's just not me. And the reason why is because let's go in the wrestling world in itself. There's going to be a wrestler over here that, man, so many people love him, but there's going to be so many people that hate him at the same time. So if I hate him, I'm not going to spoil what these people love about that person. That's one. And then as far as like presidential thing, and I try to stay out of that because one thing is a lot of times when people that hate the president, they come in, they're like, join on my bandwagon. Let's just hate. And I'm just not about that. I just try to stay out of that, man. And the thing is that I don't know, and we don't know a lot of the personal lives of presidents all the way through.
Right.
It's just that right now with social media, everything is so prevalent, everything is so thrusted at us that we're sitting there examining it so much.
And those iPhone tape recorders don't help anybody either.
Yeah, I'm taping this call. But it's one of those things where I could care less about what's going on. The only thing that I look at is numbers. And if the numbers go bad, then that's when I have a problem. If the numbers are good, which unemployment, stocks, and everything like that, they're fine. I'm just gonna stay out of it. I don't want
keep moving.
And if nothing else, I always say it like this, and I always put it in terms of my kids. When I wake up in the morning, I have a routine with my kids. My kids are on that routine, so we have fun the entire time. But if I wake up in the morning and my kids don't go and do what they're supposed to do, like they're not fixing their bed, they're not brushing their teeth, they're not eating breakfast, then that's when Bobby comes out to the hard dad, and we're going to stay hard dad. And I don't care if you're boohooing and everything because dad has to get things back in line. I think right now in our society, man, we're in a point where things are not the way that they should be right now. So if they're the way that's when we need to tighten things up. Because I tell you what, when things get in line, we can bring somebody like The Rock in. And we can just have a good time. And everybody knows it. If The Rock runs, that dude's gonna win. So if he runs, let's straighten everything up. Let's not worry about anybody's feelings right now. Let's just do what we have to do to get things in line. And then after that, can we put The Rock in the Oval Office?
What a great thought. To just get the country running in a way that everybody can agree, like, okay, we're on the straight and narrow. now we can get The Rock in office and just party for a while.
Yeah.
Like, just celebrate this thing.
And he's great with social media. So that's what we need. We need a president that is very active with social media.
Yeah.
And The Rock is that guy. Everybody loves him. He can't do no wrong.
No.
He can't do no wrong right now.
If that's not motivation to just fix everything, so that way we can just enjoy having President The Rock. And by the way, it's not President Johnson, it's President The Rock. If we can just fix everything and enjoy that, then we'll all be in a better spot.
And that's all we need to do. Let's just tell everybody, in 2 years, The Rock will be in office. Everybody's like, all right.
Yeah, everybody just do your thing.
Yeah.
If you're just cool, you can get The Rock in there, and everything will be fine.
And the vice president, man, we got a whole cabinet set up that you guys are going to love.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. How does you come back to the WWE? You leave in 2008. You come back in 2018.
Yeah.
How, in terms of existing in the company, is it different?
Yes.
How different, or in what ways?
This is a question that I get asked a lot. Also, of course, with being PG and entertainment, that's a really big deal. It's a really big deal now.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. I think it's different forms of entertainment. I think before it was more of a fight, and we had a lot of guys. It was a tough guy era. I want to say, I don't want to ruffle any feathers with anything that I say. I get misquoted, but some of the guys that
we got Travis in there. He's on clickbait, so we're just gonna try to see whatever we could take out of context. We'll throw up there on the internet. You'll be fine.
Perfect.
You'll be fine.
I had different people. I had different people to work. So it was, I had JBL, I had Big Show, I had Booker, I had Fit, I had Umaga, I had Hardcore Holly. It was Benoit. There were so many different guys that if you wanted to see sympathy from Bobby Lashley, you got it, because there's a lot of these guys that can, in the perception of the audience, I want to say beat me up, but I want to say fight me.
Right. You don't want to say beat me up because you're like, no, they can't.
No, they can't. But I did say perception.
But the perception is that these guys are fighters. Realistically, you put these two in a ring, this guy's he might not be as big. He's gonna put up a fight. He can beat up a big guy.
Right. It is a fight. And now it's an amazing time because there's some showsmen. There's some awesome people.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you look at somebody at first, you're like, what in the hell is he doing on the show? But then you sit there and watch him and you listen to him and just watch him with his actions. So like, I kind of like that guy, and it's different. It's different, and I've changed my views of a lot of things since I've been here. I think some of the guys are incredible. Some of my favorite wrestlers are some of the guys that if I put them in a street fight, I don't know how they would do, but if I told them to entertain the crowd, guaranteed, 100%.
Which is what they're there to do anyway,
awesome
right?
Entertainment, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's you're torn back and forth because you're looking at saying, hey, we're in the age of reality TV where UFC and fighting is so big, but then at the same token, we're in the age and time of bringing these kids in and watching these kids watch the show. So we don't want guys to get beat up and bloodied up and stuff like that. We want to entertain these kids.
And plus, everybody watching knows it's entertainment, right? Like, we know what this is,
right?
And so why try to portray it as anything but that? Yeah. When you were growing up, because you came from a military background, you were in the military, you came from a wrestling background. Did you get into fights, or did a lot of that was there too much discipline for that?
Outside of fighting, I've never been in a fight.
Really?
And I tell you what, it's almost one of those things where if I'm in a bar and I'm about to get in a fight, I'm like, all right, man, let's go into the gym and I'll beat the hell out of you. But right here, I'm not about it. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy that finds himself in fights all the time. I'm that guy that, like, I'm a very passive person. But as far as the ability and the things that I can do, I'm pretty sure that I can hurt people really, really, really bad, and I've shown it. But I don't need to do that in order to make myself seem better, so I'm not that guy.
And I think more often than not, the people that have actual fighting skills and ability are the ones that aren't getting into fights because they don't have that, bar fights and stuff like that generally stem from insecurities, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have that.
Yeah, and it's tacky. You're at the bar having drinks, and next thing you know, a guy has his shirt off, he's sweating, and he's like, "I'll kill anybody in here." I'm like, "All right, you're cool."
Yeah.
But
That's
just
the
don't
cool
come
guy.
over here. Don't come over here.
Yeah, what is it? I mean, I don't know if you've ever known any other way, but what is that like? The confidence to be able to walk around like, I'm not going to get in any trouble today. I don't have that confidence, for example. Everywhere I go, if I'm in a city I don't know, if I'm on a street I don't know, quite honestly, if I'm walking around the city I grew up in, I'm always looking around like, okay, well, just in case, like, here's my strategy. Somebody comes up to me and goes, like, give me your wallet or whatever. Like, what are you looking at right now? I'm going to run in the middle of the street and pretend I'm a schizophrenic or something like that. Just something to make him. One time I was at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was, it's one of those moments where you make, weird eye contact with somebody who you don't know.
Right.
And so I just ended up looking at this guy in the eyes, and he looked at me like, "Is there a problem?" And I looked right at the floor and went, "No, no, 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 no." Like that was my defense.
Yeah.
So I don't have that mental thing where I'm going like, because if there's a problem, it's going to be a problem for me, right? It's not going to be a problem for anybody else. I'm the one who's going to be suffering. Do you, like, does that occur to you? Like, does it feel good to walk around knowing that, like, I won't need to use this?
I'm not saying that I don't need to use it.
Mm-hmm.
There's been times where I got tried a little bit like that. But I think a lot of times when you said that the insecurities, the people with the insecurities, those are the people that are huffing and puffing. But when you get to the point of explaining to them what they're about to get into,
Mm-hmm.
then all the insecurities kind of starts coming to knowledge and they kind of step back. And when meaning, if somebody came at me like that, it's very, very, very simple. Just explaining to them what they have to do. Look, you're threatening me. I think you should put your hands in your pocket when you talk to me that close. Because if not, then I'm going to have to react to whatever you're doing to me.
Right. And then they look at your arms, and they look at the shoulder. You know what?
I'm going to look at the ground.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Then they turn into Sam Roberts. Whereas for me, I take my shirt off, and I'm like, let's go. And they're like, how are you? You're skinny and fat at the same time. I don't understand how that's even possible. What I'm looking at isn't human. It's
right.
It's an alien life form or something.
Just got to cut a good promo and you can beat them.
Right, exactly. I hope we don't go beyond words here because this is not going to end well. Well, SummerSlam is coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
But you do not have a match at SummerSlam.
Who said that?
I mean, it's not on the SummerSlam lineup. And you do not have. I'm sorry. You do not have an announced match.
Announced match
at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
There's going to be, you've had this build-up with Elias in that thing we were talking about where you didn't know the words.
What was the build-up?
You not knowing the words to Rockin Robin?
We don't have to keep talking about that.
You're right. I don't know why I brought that up again. But Elias is going to be performing, but there's no specific match lined up for you at SummerSlam. But clearly you're in New York right now.
Yeah.
Clearly you're close to Brooklyn.
Right.
So there's always the potential for a Bobby Lashley SummerSlam appearance.
There's a potential for everybody.
That's right.
There's a lot of things I wish. There's a lot of different scenarios that could be built up here.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Like what? What's some scenarios? Hypotheticals.
Man, I don't want to ruin my opportunity.
Yeah, they're like, we were gonna do all these hypotheticals with you. We can't
okay,
do them.
let's do them. Let's do them.
Hypotheticals.
Okay, hypothetical. Let's go on the main event match.
Right.
Brock and Roman are down.
Right.
Referee's down.
Right.
I come run in the ring.
I love
that.
What
do I do?
Kick somebody's ass.
Who?
I don't know.
And why?
Exactly. You have reason to kick both guys' asses.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, Roman took the opportunity from you. You beat him, but then he beat you, and he gets a title shot, but you beat the guy who's getting the title shot.
All right. So I should be pissed off at him.
But you've told me before you want to fight Brock Lesnar.
All right. So I should
you're
take him
pissed
out.
at it. Yeah. Maybe take them both out. I don't know. There's lots of hypotheticals.
You know what I would do?
What?
Take out Roman.
You would.
Team up with Brock.
You would.
Be the modern day Road Warriors.
I love that. I love that. Paint up and everything.
He doesn't have to come every time if I'm doing all the work.
That's
but at
true.
some point in time, I'm going to be a little upset the fact that he is the man and I have what he wants.
But then you'll get
he has what I want.
That's right. That's right. I love it. And then, of course, we know we're going to see you the Monday after. WWE's at the Barclays Center. Monday and Sunday, sold out. SummerSlam, duh. Monday and Tuesday, I think you can still get some tickets if you if you act quickly. Raw and SmackDown Monday and Tuesday at the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn. of course, Raw featuring the great Bobby Lashley. Bobby, it's been great talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. We got to come up with another scenario, so that don't just throw that one away.
You want another hypothetical?
I hit Brock.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
And then Roman wins,
right?
Of course. But you know what? I handed him that victory, so it's an opportunity for him to give me a shot at that
Right.
title.
Maybe you cost Brock the match.
Yes.
Because Brock isn't there so often.
Right.
Because you want Roman to be the champion, so you can beat Roman.
So that I can face him. Yeah.
Okay, that's the second hypothetical.
Yeah. But when that happens and Braun runs down with the briefcase, or Kevin Owens runs down with the briefcase,
or you beat those guys up too.
Or before I try to take out Roman, Dean comes in and Dean takes out me.
Oh, that could happen too.
Or Dean just jumps into the match and then the whole Shield turns heel.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy night.
Yeah.
It's going to be
there's
crazy.
There's a lot of things that come. Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Luckily, you'll be able to watch SummerSlam on the WWE Network, which, by the way, is free to new subscribers.
Uh-oh.
So check it out. Thank you, Bobby Lashley.
I appreciate it.
Wonderful.